Hello, 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 everybody. I am Stephanie D. Sanders, and this is DOCU-SERIES, the autobiography of some very interesting people. And yes, we have another wonderful guest for you today. She is an awesome guest, if I must say so myself, because she is one of my beautiful nieces, super creative. And I was like, I need to have her on. I know I'm going to have all of them on, so I might as well go ahead and get things kicked off this show with my niece, BRITTN'Y MCCON. Hey, Britt, how are you, girl?
Hello, hello. I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I am doing well, doing well. I was like, oh, this is going to be different. We've never been in this kind of environment. Auntie
Right.
doing her thing. And I was like, okay, here we go. But hey, you got to get ready because you never know where this thing is going to take you with what you're doing, you
This is
know?
true.
So
This
you
is
got to
very
be
true.
ready for your opportunity. But before we get into some of the creative things that you're doing, tell us a little bit about BRITTN'Y.
Sorry.
See, that's probably one of the, I thought that might have been one of the kids. That is one of the kids. That is one of the kids. You know, I
Yes,
thought about that.
yes.
And we're going to leave that in there. We're
Yeah,
going to leave
yeah.
that in there because that is a true and real thing that can happen.
Oh man, yes.
Auntie's little boy, no, back there walking around.
Moving real fast. Moving real
Just doing
fast.
his thing, doing his thing. I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, there we go. Tell me a little bit more about who BRITTN'Y is, the mom, the wife, the cookie maker, and all of that stuff like that. Go ahead, give
Yeah,
us some
well,
info.
as you hear, I am a mother.
Mhm,
But I'm a mother, an artist, friend, all of that good stuff.
mhm,
Been a creative most of my life. So, it's really what I've got going for me. It's just kind of opened up different little avenues for myself. Really, it's all about exploring what you like, and I like to kind of research different things and just try them out.
mhm. Because see, now I know you see the artwork back there in the back, people. This is what we're talking about. This is just one aspect of who BRITTN'Y is. She does these specialty cookies, and I mean, when she popped out and started doing them, I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So I actually had her make some for her grandmother's birthday here recently back in December. So she made some of those awesome, awesome cookies and stuff like that. But what inspired you? You just talked about it just a little bit. What inspired you to actually start the cookie business for one, and then
So,
branch on over into more of the art?
it's actually quite funny. Me personally, I like to I research a lot of things all the time, like different creative things, regular little subjects that I like to look into. And one day I remember running across a video about sugar cookies, and I was like, oh, that looks kind of fun. And of course, me being me, I was like, let's try it. And you kind of start going to the store, buying all this stuff. And when I tell you, when I first started out, I was kind of like, oh, okay, maybe not, you
Mhm,
know.
mhm, mhm.
But eventually, I kept playing around with it, and it's kind of stuck to me. So I love doing
Wow.
it.
See, now she was already a creative prior to this. She was doing
Yeah.
other things, but the sugar cookies just kind of added on to what she was already doing. And I just love the thought of being expressive like that because it just shows such a different side to her. And I mean, they are specialty cookies, and they good too. Because I did okay, I did save a couple of the leftovers. Mom and them did not want to take all of them that were left. I
Yes.
tried to run around and give a couple out to people. Um, I ended up keeping the rest. I
Oh
ended
my
up
goodness.
keeping the rest. It was only about 3 or 4 of the little packets that I put together,
Oh,
and I
okay.
kept the rest and I ate them. But yes, thank you for that, and the other people do too. Whoever got them. If you were
Yeah.
not home, yours was one of the ones that I did eat.
Oh,
Just
thank
so people know.
you.
So now, what would a typical day look like for you as an artist right now? With the cookie business, what would a typical day look like for you with that? And then starting to blend in the artwork and all of that, and a baby that's at home.
Yes, yes. So, a typical day for me really starts at the beginning of the week.
Hmm.
So I kind of give everybody like, hey, you have to let me know like at least a minimum of a week in advance because that's when the creative process for me starts.
Hmm.
A lot of my customers just come to me and they tell me their thing. No idea, no nothing. It's just I want this. They might tell me a color, and then from there I start, my wheels start turning, I start
Hmm.
researching and, start trying to piece things together. So originally, like I will figure out what designs that I think will look good
Hmm.
together and I get that written down. Sometimes I sketch them out. It depends on the day and, how many orders I have. And then it kind of goes into, all right, let's see what cutters I need. And I've actually talked to another cookier, and she was like, "I don't know how you do it with the orders you have, but
Hmm.
I actually don't buy a lot of cookie cutters.
Hmm.
A lot of my cookies are actually hand cut
Wow.
because it's just easier for me that way, and it's more
Hmm.
cost effective. Because sometimes if I order a specialty cutter, I might not use it that often. So
Hmm.
I stick to my basics a lot and I figure out how I can transform those and then go from there on, okay, do I need to create one for it? So then, I kind of find the shape I need, I'll draw it out and then hand cut what I need to go. And then of course, you got to make dough, you got to make icing, and then it comes into color matching, and then decorating from there. And I will
Oh.
say, with doing this has actually opened up a lot more skills for me.
Mhm.
I've been getting into watercoloring on cookies, which has led me back into painting and has advanced my actual painting skills as we
Ooh, see, that's wonderful. Look at that.
Yeah.
And then I forgot too. I forgot to mention she was into graphic design before all this popped up. I forgot that.
Yes, I
But
have
it
a
all
degree
just
in
kind of
graphic
look at that.
design.
I forgot, girl. You know what? See, this is what happens when you start talking about stuff. All kind of things
Yeah,
just kind of pop up and pop off, and you can see. Same thing with Michelle, docu-series, the autobiography of people. You can see where the transitions kind of move from one thing to the next, and then you just keep leveling up and leveling up. So now you're
yeah.
doing the cookies, and now you're going back to your artwork there. I see so beautifully on the wall,
Thank you.
graphic design, and then she has an eye for this thing. She's a content creator too. Didn't know it. She's into these, I won't say weird, she's into these new and original type of snacks and things like that that have different flavors and whatnot that you would not think of,
Yeah,
would not think of. She finds this stuff. So it made me start looking out. When I go out and do things, I'm like, wait a minute, wait a minute. I saw something at Cracker Barrel. I'm leaving
hmm
Cracker Barrel. And I'm like, ooh, oh my goodness, Brittany might like that. I stopped. I was with one of my coworkers and I said, ooh, my niece might like that. Hold on. She's like, okay.
yeah.
And so I was going to take the picture. Then she straightened it up for me. And so I went ahead and took the picture of that and sent it to her, thinking, okay, she might like this. This is in her lane. So, but I love the fact that she has that creative side to her. Now, how supportive is the family in all of this?
So everybody's actually very supportive of what I do in any medium that it is. I do see a lot more with my content side now, which is funny how that got started as well, because that got started from my graphic design school experience. But I get a lot with there, and then now that I've been starting back with painting, they're pushing me with that because for a while, like most artists, I kind of experienced a little block. And so now I'm coming out of my block and it feels really good. It feels really good.
What emotions do you find that you experience in order to be able to either do the work or even continue the work? What emotions come up for you when you're doing the cookies or the painting?
So with cookies, the emotions for that really is dependent on theme because
Mm,
sometimes you'll get, your regular theme. So that's kind of routine, but then sometimes you'll get those ones that are just really unique. Like I had one that kind of modeled the 90s era, so I got to show more of my skills on that one. Those ones will really create a spark for me, and I'm like, okay, I got to do all the colors, and you want to do all the designs for those, but you got to kind of reel it back in because you're like, okay, stick to the
Stick to the
plan.
plan. You going on?
Yes,
What they say? You doing too much. You doing too much.
exactly, exactly. And I'm like, hold on, because I'm naturally one of those people that are like, I want to give you everything. I want to, do
Hmm.
it all
Hmm.
if we can fit it in there. But I have to also remember time constraints and
Yes.
everything.
Yes.
There's like, okay, you got to be
Hmm.
realistic about it. But
Hmm.
as far as my paintings go, it's quite funny because I don't. The planning for it is very sporadic. I can just be sitting here and then all of a sudden, ideas start flowing in and you're like, okay, so I start mentally mapping. I'm a mental mapper and I'm like, okay, what if we piece this with this? What about this color scheme? And then I'm also visual after
Hmm.
the mental mapping. I'm like, I have to get it on paper now. So then, you get into doing something like this,
Oh, it's like a
sketching
little
it out.
sketching. Oh.
Yeah, sketch, and then I make
Uh,
notes and everything, like, okay, these are the colors I might want to use, which
hmm.
is funny because, this is actually a painting I'm getting ready to work on. It's on the back of the chair I'm actually sitting in.
Hmm.
I've deviated from this plan. So that's the fun of being a creative also. You can change whatever you're doing whenever because it's your creation.
Hmm. Hmm. Now, with this artistry, do you find that the connection between the cookies and the painting, they kind of just flow together, or do you get inspiration from one thing to the next at times?
Yeah, that like I said earlier, they actually do cross paths a lot.
Hmm.
Because techniques that I use on painting, I can apply to cookies as well, of course, with a few tweaks, and that's finding out how that's going to work and everything. And the same with cookies back to this. It helps me apply better techniques because now I know what I'm doing,
Hmm. Hmm.
Before it was just throwing it out there, let's see, and
Hmm.
then that's how I also got into the mental block with doing my actual projects is because I don't practice these skill sets all the time. But
Hmm.
now that I'm doing cookies, I'm constantly practicing some
Yes.
form. Like I've gotten more into wanting to do, like I said, the watercoloring on cookies and then like drawing things on it. So now I'm starting to incorporate more than just icing. Now you get, a couple of drawn elements, a couple painted elements on it, which I think adds dimension to your set.
So when you get those little blocks, because I know we all get them as creative people. I get them sometimes with songwriting or just overall. It's like, okay, I need a break or whatever. And
Yeah,
then it
yeah.
just kind of kicks back in, or either I'm exercising and get up early, exercise, and then it's like a light bulb just pops off, and then I'm back on.
Yes, yes.
What happens with you when those mental blocks come up?
Mental blocks, I usually I try to force it at
Mm.
first, you're trying to find little things to
Yeah.
do. And then of course, the block comes in, you're like, why am I even doing this? But I find if you still push yourself doing a little bit of something, you'll eventually catch that spark back up.
Hmm. Try
But
to
it'll
get
be
back on
that
track.
one project that you're like, wait a minute, and all these ideas start flying. And then once you get that completed, you're like, I got to do another one. I got to do another one.
Yes, yes, especially and I think I told some people this. It's like when the fire is hot, you want to jump on it and stay and ride the wave. While
Yes.
so like I think the end of last year was really kind of hot for me doing commercials or whatever. So it's like you want to stay on that path while it's
Mhm.
still working, because at
Exactly.
times for some of us artists, they come in cycles.
Yes.
Things kind of come around. So, but that's interesting to hear because you wonder sometimes, am I the only one out here that's got like 400 ideas at one time and I'm trying to write them on napkins, paper, phones,
That's what I was about to say.
anything.
It's everywhere. You should see my notes app. My notes app, I might have like 30 notes and it's got one or two words in there. And I'm like, that'll respark whatever I say. But then of course that
Yeah.
next idea comes and you're like, well, I don't want to mess it with that one. So
Mm-hmm.
you open a new
Mm-hmm.
note, create little notes in
Mm-hmm.
there. Um,
Yes. Yes.
I'm preferably a pen and paper person, but
Me
when you
too.
have to get it out, you have to get it out, you know.
Now, what challenges have you faced in promoting your artwork here and doing it again? Or is that an avenue that you want to actually go down?
So I teeter on that because I struggle also with uh, creating and then being boxed in.
Hmm.
So, promoting it to the point where now you're having to create somebody else's vision compared to just my vision. So I think that's probably my biggest struggle. I create to create. I like to make things that are, really just going on in my head at the time, which might not be anybody else's cup of tea. I originally started out as an abstract artist, so it wasn't any of this. It was usually like a flow of blobs and colors and, mixing different techniques like that, which, not everybody's into that. So you just kind of got to feel it out. Like, these are pieces I would definitely, I could see people actually wanting to
Oh
use
yeah.
in their home, but I
Oh
do
yeah.
teeter back and forth with doing stuff for me and then doing stuff that I think will appeal to others.
Hmm. Hmm. I think just allowing yourself to be free to do that artwork there, it is probably going to be the real seller,
Yeah.
because it's such a creative place that you have to go into. I don't even know what that is in the pink, but I'm like, that would be a beautiful big piece for somebody's
Yes.
wall, and you put it in a nice frame and stuff like that, and then you sign that thing in the corner if it's not. I think it should be signed.
Yes. Sign everything. Sign everything.
Exactly, right?
This one
Yeah.
actually here is a floral vase. I'll see if I can.
Oh, I see it. The
Yes.
okay.
So I've mixed a
Oh,
couple of 3D elements in there, as you see the palm fan, and then of course, my florals here.
oh,
And then
I
I
love
tried to
that.
mimic it there. I am really right now in my experimenting with textures
Hmm.
is what's kind of been jumping out to me because ever since I've had girls, I've been really into florals.
Yes,
You
I
know,
can see
I,
that.
yeah.
I can
So
see
I would,
that.
remember as a
Look,
child, I was my little tomboy self, but now as I'm getting older and I have my girls, and I'm like, it's flowers
it's
everywhere,
flower season. It's beautiful flowers.
Yes, I
And
need
then the
all
look,
of them. And then,
the
like I said, as an artist too, you start collecting little different things because you
hmm
might see it out and you're like,
hmm
I can use that for something. So I
yes.
have a big old box of florals.
Uh-huh.
For what?
But that right there, that pink one
Exactly.
that's
I'm
right
like
there,
using
that's a
them
whole
now.
that's a whole collection right there that
Yes.
you could do. And then go, you know what, I'm not gonna brainstorm out loud like that. I'm not gonna brainstorm out loud. Some they say move in silence. So we'll discuss other things like
Yes.
that. But that right there, that's a whole collection, you know. And the other one, but, ooh,
That one there, I started doing trying to add more like swamp elements. I know we're not super close, so it's moss on there.
uh-huh.
And then of course, a couple of faux florals to add little dimension on the fleur de lis.
See, because we have the green swamp down
Hmm.
here that we have drove through many,
Yeah.
many, many times on our way to Atlanta or wherever, wherever you guys are too. So I,
Hmm.
I love the whole thought of all of that, using the different textures like that, sitting up off the picture. That's amazing. That pink one gonna sell here before this show is probably over.
Yeah.
So your numbers in your head, what you need, to give out as a price, because we'll give some information for them in just a moment here before we wrap up, because I'm almost getting wrapped up and just keep looking at it. And I thought, who I thought about when I saw that just a moment ago? Your little one, Emery. That
Yes.
baby, if you see her daughter, I think she had a purse one day. That thing was the absolute cutest thing. She had a purse and some shades, and she was walking out in front of her mom. All I could think about was like Hollywood and Rodeo Drive kind of a thing. That would be a baby that's walking down there on Rodeo Drive, just walking out in front of her mom, going to whatever store that is. And it was just so cute. That's why I can see that back there being an inspiration to whatever you're doing right now. But let me see here. I want to get a couple more questions in before we wrap it up. We may have to come back another time so we can kind of see where the progress is going with this, because I would love to see it before the end of the year.
Yes,
I would
yeah.
love to see a nice collection to come out from you. I think it's in there. I know it's in there, and I wouldn't I wouldn't say do the work based off of what people are requesting. Do the work based off of what's in your head
Mhm.
already. Let them come and buy it.
Yeah.
Let them come and buy it, because you don't want to stifle that creativity that's in you for just doing it for somebody else. Like cookies, that's different. But that right there, you stay within yourself and in your head and let that thing flow. So let me move on. Let me move on. Let me see what else, other questions I wanted to ask. Where do you see yourself as an artist? I'd say within a year. I know this says 5 years, but within a year, where do you see yourself as an artist from this point on? What kind of success level would you like to have with the artistry?
Really just exposure, whether it sells or not. I like the recognition of the skill set and the work that I've put into everything. It'd be really cool to just be known,
Mm-hmm,
because I
mm-hmm,
know I have my name spread very widely for cookies and everything. I think it would be
mm-hmm.
cool that people remember where I started, because I was
Yes.
doing other crafts in the beginning, but cookies is what kind of launched everything. I want everybody to remember that, hey, this is where we began.
Mm. I'm getting another idea. Hold my pen at, I will relay this message after we're done, because we're going to get ready to wrap this up. And then I'm going to give her this idea. A friend of mine told me, you know what, Stephanie, you need to be a consultant. Maybe I do need to be a consultant, child. You just talk to me and I'll just help you brainstorm through some things like that. But I really love what you're doing, Brittney. I'm so proud of you for your artwork and your children and your husband, how you guys have really been making it happen, making it
Yeah,
happen. And you haven't lost sight of the gifts that you already have, that are inside of you. You've really expanded. Now that we talked it out, you've been from one extreme to the next. So this next
yeah.
one,
And they're
this
getting bigger and bigger, as you see. So,
exactly. This next one should be big. Oh my gosh.
yeah.
I can see, girl, I can see a big old painting. Okay, when you walk away, I want you to think about a big painting
Mhm,
that's as big as the ceiling down to the floor.
mhm,
That would be the center focal piece when they walk into the gallery.
mhm.
I can see that. I can see that. But you know what? I'm gonna stop. That's what I'm gonna stop doing. I'm gonna let you do your thing, and you go on and continue to be successful. And I'm loving you, girl. I'm loving the little kids. I was hoping that Emery might come and run up and jump up, but
Oh,
Noel came in and made a little ruckus for us. So he was, holding it down for all the other kids. So we want to make sure that we
yeah.
say hey to the family. Hey y'all, I
Yes,
hope you're
ma'am.
doing well.
Yeah, you missed Tiny Tot. She ran in real quick, but she's,
I thought
small.
I heard something. I did. I thought I heard something. It wasn't too much longer after him. But
Oh.
anyway, oh yes, and please, Britt, tell them how can they reach out to you if they'd love to get one of these art pieces behind you, or take a look at some of the other stuff that you've done, because I'm sure somebody's gonna want to get some things.
Yeah. So, the best way to keep up with me, the social site that I'm most active on is Instagram.
Hmm.
And my Instagram is at underscore FACEY So it'd
Hmm.
be at underscore Facey Baby, but abbreviated. So,
Okay. At underscore Facey Baby.
so
But it's BBY.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. FACEY BBY. Don't put no A's in
Yeah.
there. BBY. Okay. And that's where you can find her on Instagram. Send her a message there and tell her, hey, I want to pay this, that, and the other to get those paintings off of your wall and into my house. And we'll get that done for you. We'll get that done for you and shipped out as soon as possible. Thank you so much, Britt. I'm proud of you, young lady, and I'm wishing the very best for you and the family. You just keep doing your thing and keep inspiring people by being a mom, being a wife, being a specialty cookie maker, graphic artist, and a painter all at the same time. Oh, where do you think you got this gift from? I didn't ask that.
Um, I will definitely say off my dad's side. So my
Mm-hmm,
dad is a super creative.
mm-hmm.
He is also a mixed media artist. So whatever he gets his hands on, he's
There we
working
go.
with as well.
There we
Which is
go.
passed through me, and I pass it on to my son. But my son's got the best of both worlds because his dad is a creative as
Oh,
well, and
yes.
he's an artist. He can draw as well. So
Yes.
got it on both
Oh, this is a family
sides.
business. Hold up. Let me get my thoughts together. This is a family business about to happen.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for watching DOCU-Series, the autobiography of some very interesting people. My lovely niece, one of them, very creative, wonderful young lady, and I'm wishing them well in everything that they do. And I'm very happy that you came on here today, and we look forward to some great, great news coming up real soon. Y'all got them paintings up there on the wall. I know you see them. Okay, love you. Deuces. Bye, y'all.